Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aquarius for July 2016. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about my blog that I write on various topics. If you're interested in learning astrology, my Astrology Apprenticeship program is enrolling in July, and my Creating Successful Online Business program is enrolling in July too. While you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter. So what is going on in July? This is a time to act. I will go in much more detail about this when I talk about the general transits, why this is the time to act. But first, I want to talk about things specific for Aquarius. Where is the energy gathering? Where are the opportunities gathering? What things will you find yourself focusing on in this time? So first I want to designate between the early, middle, and late degree Aquarius placements, because the later degree placements have a very different looking chart than the earlier degree placements. So I like to differentiate. So if you are watching for your rising sign, then 0 to 9 degrees is an early degree placement. For your birthday, if you're an Aquarius, your sun sign is Aquarius, then the beginning of the sign through January, basically January born Aquariuses, are early degree placements. Middle degree placements are like the first 10 days of February, the 1st through the 10th, or 10 through 19 degrees for your rising sign. And then the late degree placements are around the 11th through the end of the sign, or the 20th through the 29th degree. Okay, so early degree placements have this gorgeous cluster of the sun and Mercury and Venus and the new moon, and some of you middle degree placements will have this too. All of these things focusing on the 6th house. The 6th house has had a big long-term focus globally because of the aspects with Pluto and Jupiter, which we still have a carryover this month. But now there's an additional short-term focus for the 6th house. The 6th house is all about improving your health, and sometimes you have to do things with your diet or supplements or have medical diagnostics or look deeper into a problem or symptom that you've been having. Sometimes there's an amplification of a problem that comes so that you give something the attention it needs. It's like, if something's crying for attention and you don't give it attention, it starts screaming. So sometimes, even though these are beautiful placements, sometimes it creates an amplification of a problem so that you focus on the problem so that you can find a solution. So diets, supplements, medical diagnostics, meditation, yoga, anything having to do with improving your health, your diet, etc., your lifestyle. This also has to do with your daily experience. And by the way, too, if you are a late degree placement, this focus is coming for you soon. These planets move pretty quickly, so they hit the early degree placements first, then they hit the middle degree, then they hit the late degree, So what we're talking about here might not start as much of a focus at the beginning of July, but in the not too distant future, this is coming for you too. So focusing on your health, on your daily experience. Your daily experience has to do with wherever you spend your everyday. So if you're at work every day, that's your 6th house. If you're at home every day, that's your 6th house. If you go to school every day, that's your 6th house. So it's focusing on trying to improve that experience for you. If you are a person that does everything themselves, I have been guilty of that, and it's been a very difficult habit to break, but I'm becoming enlightened on the importance of this. There is a resource I want to recommend called Upwork. Upwork.com is a place where you can interact with people for a lot of your business needs that you might be trying to do yourself, and you might be struggling when you can just find a perfect match on Upwork. And these are competent people all over the world that can help you. So you don't have to do everything yourself, and that might be one of the messages of this month for you. The rest of you have this strong focus, the sun, Mercury, Venus, the new moon, in the 5th house still. And the 5th house has to do with fun and romance and children. So everything in the creative process, from conception to pregnancy to delivery to child rearing, or the same goes for a creative project, the conception of an idea, the creation of the baby, which is the creative project, the birthing of it and then the care of it. All of that is in the 5th house. This is the house of true love, it's called, romance, and fun and hobbies, and also the house of fashion and athleticism, music, acting are all in this house, leadership. So there's still a strong focus for many of the middle degree placements and all of the late degree placements in that focus of life. So you'll see many opportunities come up there. And if you're trying to work on those things, it's a good time to schedule things involving those things. If you have been waiting for the planets to be better as far as taking action on something in that area or any other area, now's your time. So that's the shorter term energy. The longer term energy, I want to talk about Jupiter. There's always many different influences at once. We can't talk about everything, but I really like to talk about Jupiter because it brings growth and expansion and benevolence and luck and good fortune. Sometimes it brings some unpleasant things, but the majority of the time it's just really great. Sometimes it brings an amplification of a problem, like I was talking about before, so that it's in your face so that you can deal with it and get to the other end of it and be so much better for it. So the earlier degree placements have not only Jupiter, but also the North Node. The North Node is your area of highest expression in this lifetime. That's when you look at it in your natal chart. In transit, the North Node has to do with what area of focus can we collectively place our lines of energy to best lead us on our own individual paths. So right now, since it has been so close to Jupiter, the expansive energy of getting people on track onto their paths of their highest destiny has been very much activated. So both of these planets are focused for the early degree placements. So again, this is coming soon for the middle degree and later degree placements, coming sooner for the middle than the later. But right now, the early degree placements are really feeling this energy of merging power and resources. The 8th house is a really cool place to have Jupiter for the reason that it makes you more magnetic to having massive amounts of money come to you without having to do anything for it usually. It's called other people's money. I can think of someone who had Jupiter transiting her 8th house. It was going to make an aspect to something, and I was like, wow, looks like you would come into a lot of money. You know, she's like, well, I do this sweepstakes every year, and I've been in it for the last 11 years. Like, should I do it this year? I was kind of on the fence. I'm like, yeah, you definitely need to do that because you have Jupiter in your 8th house of money just coming out of the blue. And then I saw her after several months and she had won $1 million in the sweepstakes. It was really awesome. So Jupiter brings this energy of expansion into your house of other people's money. It's also the house of marriage, like not the marriage arrangement agreement between you and another person. It's like you and your resources merging in deeper ways. So merging power, sharing power, everything having to do with family money, family resources, collaborating with people, borrowing money, lending money, getting venture capital money. You know, it has to do with merging resources, debt, credit, etc. So Jupiter in that place expands that focus. For the rest of you, you still have the Jupiter expanding your 7th house, and there are some similarities between these energies because the 7th and the 8th house both have to do with relationships. So to some degree, everyone is experiencing this expansion and growth potential within relationships. So, but specifically for the 7th house, it has to do with the actual relationships, not as much the resources connecting with the relationships. So many people will meet their person, you know, they're the one or whatever in this transit because it brings luck to that place. Jupiter also tends to be additive. So if you're a single person, it could add another person to you. If you're a person that's into more than one relationship at once, this is like a polyamorous dream because it can add multiple relationships to your situation, you know? And some people who aren't looking for multiple relationships find them when Jupiter is there because it's additive. For some people, those opportunities come as a method to fine-tune their personal relationship and get more clear about what they want and improve their relationships. So it's just this expansive effect. Some people will have a person brought to them. Some person who has their significant other may get engaged, or they may get married, or they may add kids to the equation. It's, you know, whatever is additive to your situation involving relationships. This is also an amazing transit for adding like a following or clients or something like that. It's also common when Jupiter is transiting in this place in the chart for you to get recognition and acknowledgement amongst your peers or amongst people that you know or that know you. So all of those things are longer term things that are going on for Aquarius placements. So now I want to get more into why this is a time to act, what the general transits are, and these gorgeous trines that we have this month. So I'm going to talk about that now. So I call this month Sugar and Spice because the way that the energies of Cancer, which are like smooth and sweet, come together with the energies of Leo, which are spicy, it reminds me of a recipe, a favorite recipe that I put together myself called Sexy Peach Pie. I haven't talked about my Sexy Peach Pie in a while. I think it's been years since I've mentioned this. But the month just feels like that to me because there's honey and the peaches in the pie, and that's like the sweet, sultry Cancer energy. And then I put cayenne pepper in it, enough to notice. And that is the Leo, the spice, you know? And so this is the overriding energy of the month. One of the most important things to know about this month for everyone is that this is a time to act. Unless, of course, your intuition says something otherwise, because you always have to have your intuition supersede what general energies might be. But this is the first month since March that we don't have influence from Mercury retrograde. Mercury's retrograde phase long past, and we don't have that to look at until August 10th when the shadow period starts again. And Mars has gone direct as of June 29th. So we are still in the shadow period of Mars retrograde, which means that Mars, which rules your oomph, your zest, your get up and go, how you use your energy, Mars is still a little sleepy. But it's direct nonetheless. So if you have been waiting since March to launch a bunch of things like I have, July is a wonderful time to do that. It's not as clear in some ways as the last 3 weeks of October, the whole month of November, and just the beginning several days of December, because that next window of time for action is when we don't have any personal planet retrograde influence or in shadow period. And that period of time, October, November, December, like once we're about a week into October, the rest of October, November, and the beginning of December, is the first time in the entire year of 2016 that we don't have influence from a personal planet being retrograde. Personal planets are the ones that are closest to us. So specifically, we talk about Mars and Venus and Mercury because those are the ones that go retrograde. So you have a window of time here to act. And I have 3 reasons why I feel like this is a time to act, unless you're intuitively led to do your launches in the fall, in which case that would be fine too. The first is because we're not having to deal with Mercury retrograde. The second is because Mars is sleepy, but Mars is direct. The third is because there are amazing aspects this month. There are just so many glorious aspects. Many of them are trines. Trines are 120-degree angles, which are considered to be the most favorable in astrology as far as smoothness and easiness and flow. So we've got trines between personal planets, which last like a couple of days. And then we have trines between a personal planet and some outer planets, and those last, you know, more than that, like maybe a week or so. And then we still have a carryover from the big dog trine from last month, the last week in June, where Jupiter and Pluto had their final convergence. They've been dancing in and out of this configuration since fall of 2015. So you still have Jupiter and Pluto, these outer planets. When the outer planets move into any kind of convergence, the effects of that connection last for a longer period of time because these planets take longer to move. So they're kind of just like locked in a configuration. And even though the most powerful time of the energy has passed, it's just recently passed and you're still very much feeling it. So trines on all levels. There's a couple of dicey spots this month, one on July 11th and one on July 16th. Both could possibly be jarring aspects with Uranus. So you kind of expect the unexpected around those times, jolting news, jolting information that comes in. But the predominating energy of the month is really smooth, time for action, time to move forward. Another day to pay attention to, or the days around this day, is July 19th, when we have the full moon at 27 degrees of Capricorn. Full moons bring fullness, completion, fruition. Sometimes something comes in that you've been hoping for, or something wonderful happens so that you're emotional in a happy way. But sometimes the emotions are stressful, or stress or drama. So the energy is focused around Capricorn, and Capricorn rules father figures, authority figures, your work, your career, your life purpose. So there's possibility that a lot of smiles and recognition could come in from this fullness, but there's also the possibility of attention being brought to a work issue, or, something that's been pending, that's been stressful. If you have anything with a father figure, with an authority figure, with someone at work, especially an authority figure situation at work, my recommendation is to work out the charge around that situation as much as possible before the full moon. Sometimes full moons bring things that we could not have anticipated, and it's just kind of like, what? Where did that come from? But sometimes it's like the coming to a head of something that's been pending. So if you know that every time you see a certain person at work, there's like a bad energy between you, or that you get irritated or stressed when you see them, you can do energy before the full moon to work it out within yourself. And one of the best tools that I have found to do this, and it works powerfully, I've done this at workshops where people who don't know anything about the book I'm going to recommend did this exercise, and they had amazing effects. It's from a book called The Marriage of Spirit by Leslie Temple Thurston with Brad Laughlin. And these are wonderful people, and this book is amazing, amazing spiritual tool. The exercises in section 2 give you this way to work out a problem that's on your mind, where it's like a mental exercise, but then it's also a spiritual exercise. And you'd be surprised at what you can clear on your own without even interacting with someone. So the more you can do that before these points of fullness, the easier possibly they could be. So at the end of the month, we've got a series of nice aspects with the planet Uranus, bringing creativity and genius and surprises that will likely be positive. The ones on the 11th and the 16th are those kind of unwelcome surprises usually. But when that planet is in a positive aspect, usually it's like something comes from the blue that's pretty cool. So something that is going on, that is pending for us to be discussing again, that I'm just going to bring up now, even though it doesn't actually go direct until August, is Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn moved into Sagittarius and started, and this was last year, or actually at the end of 2014. This has been ongoing, and then it moved forward, and then it moved backwards, back into Scorpio, and so it's been going on. But since March, Saturn has been retrograde. And when it's in retrograde, it's more working on things in the backdrop. But then once it moves forward, which will happen in August, it's time to start bringing those things back into the forefront. So here are the two things I recommend involving Saturn and Sagittarius. The first is to understand that Saturn in Sag wants to help you bring about your big dreams into reality. Saturn is the taskmaster. Sag is the big thinker. They're not in an easy aspect with each other generally, or in a resonance with each other, but they can be very helpful to each other because they provide this important counterbalance. So whatever big dreams, big goals, destiny, something that just seems maybe even unreachable. Like if someone asked you, what is it that you really would like to do if you had all the resources and the wherewithal to do it? Those kind of big dreams. Saturn wants to help you in the time that it's in Sagittarius to create those big dreams. But what Saturn's going to say you have to do is to work hard and to be disciplined and to get efficient with your energy. That's a higher version of the energy of Capricorn. The lower vibration can be just kind of addicted to work and work for the sake of itself. But the higher vibration of Capricorn, which Saturn rules, which is why it's involved here, is that it wants you to work smarter. And this is a theme that I've been talking about for a while, and I'm going to keep talking about it because this is part of our evolution if we choose to accept it, where we work smarter instead of harder. We might also work a little harder, but we wind up working smarter. So if you figure out the dream, get clear about it, then make a timeline about what would have to happen in order for you to get there, and then break it down into measurable steps. So if you want to be a filmmaker, right, you would have to first get a good camera, right? Maybe you need some training. Maybe you need to be able to take trips to the places where you want to do filming. Maybe you need to have a screenplay. Maybe you need to, whatever it is. So get the big dream in your mind. Think about the things that you would need for creating that, and then keep breaking those down into what you have to do every day to get to the big dream. And that's what Saturn wants to help you do. So here in July, right before it's about to go direct, be thinking about this so that you can have your plan ready. So these are the general energies of the month for everyone. And if you would like some assistance in using these energies and the ones that are more specific to your chart, which I can't see in the general horoscopes, then check out my website, anniehelpsyou.com. You can see more about my personal coaching. You can also sign up for my free email newsletter and become part of my community and get the write-ups that I talk about with more detailed explanations of the aspects and what planets are involved, etc. And definitely check out, if you're interested in learning astrology and you resonate with how I teach, my Astrology Apprenticeship program will be enrolling in July, and my Creating Successful Online Business program will be enrolling in July. And I have lots of self-development programs on my website as well, and my blog. So go to anniehelpsyou.com, and I hope you have a wonderful month. See you next month. Bye.